Albert Einstein. This is the man which has contributed a lot of things in the world of science and through his theories and also his work which he has dedicated in doing. Albert Einstein he was a very peculiar person who was very smart, and even he up to date he's still remembered for his brilliance because he tackled some of the things which were not even being explained by people like Isaac Newton and other mathematicians and other physicians before him. Some of the things which he was able to learn and also observe about the universe were made known to the whole world, and every picture which the people were looking at now, through the help of Albert Einstein, people were able to look at this picture very different through his calculations of different theories which we know of about special relativity theory and also general relativity theory, which we have the famous quote and also the equation where we get E is equals to mc squared, where this is the theory which was put about by Albert Einstein and it was found out to be successful. This is a man who had dedicated a lot of his work into finding and also trying to solve the riddles of the universe. So I'll be telling you the story of Albert Einstein and how his theory was able to help in the making of the atomic bomb, and also how he is so impactful into many people's life, and also up to date people are being able to be helped by his theories and also equations. Although during that time some of the theories of Albert Einstein were not being able to be proved, but at this time, through our technology of going into the space, people are able to prove what Albert Einstein was talking about. So Albert Einstein was a boy who was born in Germany in the year of 1879. 1879 in he was born of a Jewish family. His father was Jewish and also his mother was Jewish. They were not very well off, very good. His father was working for a particular plant where they were producing electronics, and by him working in that plant of electronics, the father was able to bring Einstein a particular compass when he was a little boy, and this compass is the one which motivated, and also Albert Einstein quotes that later on in the years he was motivated by this particular compass which his father gave him, because it was he who used to wonder a lot how the compass works. No matter what type of direction you are, the compass will always point at north. You change to this direction, the direction which the compass points is still north. So Albert Einstein started having questions on his mind, and this helped him cultivate more questions which will help also the world. And one thing about Albert Einstein, he was not like any other child and or any other genius where you can say this is a genius. Albert Einstein at the age of 5 couldn't even be able to talk very well. He was slow in talking, and also there are some subjects which in school he wasn't very good at performing, although he was performing at subjects like physics and also mathematics. Subjects like languages, they were very hard for him. Botany, these other sciences, it was very hard for Albert Einstein. So Albert Einstein was a person who wasn't, everybody couldn't look at him as a genius, but he eventually came out to be a genius. So the basic thing what Albert Einstein used to say is that it doesn't matter if you don't understand other things. So as long as you are good at something, that's what makes you a genius. And this is what came out of Albert Einstein. Leave alone, you have all the general information. Albert Einstein was only good at physics and also subjects like mathematics. And now, today, is deemed to be a great scientist and also a genius. And one of the things about Albert Einstein, he was a rebel, and also he wasn't he didn't he was very angry, and also he didn't like the particular system which schools work in today. The type of system which schools work is a system where people use a form of method where cramming is, you have to cram, and also you have to obey rules set by teachers. And one thing about Albert Einstein, didn't like to follow rules, so he was a rebel. He was a rebel, and he was clashing with his teachers very much because he didn't want to do what his teachers said. And one thing, he didn't obey what the teachers wanted, but he was very smart. And one of the teachers said that Albert Einstein will amount to nothing. But later on, he was a very large, big scientist. And today we know him and also respect him as a good scientist. So it says this system of cramming it's not a good system. Because a system of cramming can also help people camouflage. Smart people can be able, this system cannot be favorable for them because it uses a certain type of power which you have to cram, and cramming isn't very assured that you are bright. This is just a way of you recalling, and it doesn't, you don't know how somebody has taken a amount of time to recall certain types of things. So cramming wasn't a very good method for Albert Einstein, and also the particular system which he uses today. So Albert Einstein later on in the years where he became a dropout at the age of 15. He didn't want to further on in his studies because of the things which I've said earlier on. So when the father got bankrupt later on in the years, he was able to now go back to school and also remain in school so he can finish his high school. So at that time, he was around 15 to 18 years old when his father became bankrupt and his father decided to move to another country. But at that time, Albert Einstein decided just to remain in Germany so he can complete his studies, as the father and also the younger sister would go to the country of their wish. So Albert Einstein was able to finish his school, and after finishing his school, Albert Einstein now started going all over the world, and he denounced his citizenship of Germany. He wanted just to be a free person because at that time he's a Jew. At that time, also Jews were not viewed well by the Germany. So he denounced his citizenship, and that's when he now started roaming all over the country. But later on in the years, he was able to get a citizenship of Switzerland, and Switzerland gave him a citizenship, and he was able now to fulfill his college into physics and also mathematics. And by him getting a diploma where he'll be able to be a teacher. But he was also denied by many universities at that time in Switzerland. The second best university in Switzerland denied Albert Einstein. They didn't know who they were denying. The greatest scientist who will ever come into being, Albert Einstein. So when Albert Einstein he was denied, he also reapplied the second time and he was able to be accepted into that university. And after being accepted, it's now when he was very good at physics and also mathematics. And at that time in Switzerland, the language was French, and he wasn't good at learning the language. And at that time, the language was French, and he wasn't good at learning that language. This was a great downfall for him and also a pullback for him. But other subjects like mathematics and physics, he was able to prevail in them. And later on, he was able to graduate with his diploma at the age of 23. And after graduating, he was able now to look for a job, which he was denied many particular jobs in the country. And the only job which Albert Einstein could have landed was a particular person which his role was looking and also going at books and also certain types of compasses, which was a favorable job for him. But the good thing about the job was it gave him free mind to also now indulge in his own theories and also in his own work. And this helped him now to come up with some of the greatest theories which were produced by Albert Einstein. And this time he was able now to review, because at this time people were looking at the theories of Isaac Newton, which were produced 200 years ago, before Albert Einstein. Now he was sitting there, and also there was another scientist in Germany, which also had produced certain types of theories of light and speed, and Albert Einstein about gravity. So Albert Einstein started looking at these particular theories of Isaac Newton and also the other person, and so that these theories don't collide. And there are some things which the theory of gravity doesn't explain. And that's how now Albert Einstein just started looking at them, because these two theories were contradicting. And one thing Albert Einstein knew that if theories contradict, then it means that either they have a problem or the theories are not right. So that's when now Albert Einstein started looking at the two theories and he was able now to come up with his special relativity theory, which explains the whole universe and how the universe works. And this was a great theory, and he was able to now further the theory where he learned that a particular object, you see, Isaac Newton explained about gravity, but whereas Isaac Newton theory was this force of gravity, if a person is inside a box in space and in that space is floating, but when the box is pulled up, a person will be able to stand on top of that box. So he just explained that the earth is that box, and the only reason that we are on the floor or standing up is that there's a particular force or a force of motion which is acted upon the earth, which results in us being able to stand down. And this is what Isaac Newton had explained it earlier before as force of gravity. So what Albert Einstein found out that this force of gravity is caused by the motion of the earth, which makes us to have there's a pull but for Albert Einstein the pull wasn't acted downward, the pull was acted upwards, because this earth, everything is pulled upwards. So we, the humans, we remain on top of that particular object as the force of the earth is acted upwards. So that was the force of gravity explained by Albert Einstein as another way. And this was explained in the special relativity theory. And later on, this special relativity theory had some flaws on it. And he was able now to come up with another theory, which is the general relativity theory, which explained everything about the universe. And that's how we get now to know everything which happens in the universe, the black hole, and how the light travels also. So after Albert Einstein was able to give out these theories were published in a 4 pages book, and these 4 pages book were then given to the public, and that's how Albert Einstein became famous, because of this book. And after becoming famous, he now was a celebrity, and that's now when he decided to move to United States. And remember, during this time when Albert Einstein was in the university at Switzerland, he was able to get married and also have 2 children by a wife of his. And later on, this wife, they were able to divorce because of Albert Einstein had issues. And one of the people of Albert Einstein, one of the things about Albert Einstein, he was remembering his old ex-girlfriend, although he was married. So this led to the divorce of his Albert Einstein with his wife. And now Albert Einstein got to marry his first cousin, and his first cousin, they got married and they got also some kids. Later on, after moving to USA, the wife of Albert Einstein died. And at this time in USA, there was Albert Einstein. It was around the 1930s over there. Albert Einstein could not go back to Germany because Germany had declared war against the Jews, and Albert Einstein was a Jew. And everything what Albert Einstein had discovered, the Jews and the Germany were against it because he was a Jew. And also all the theories which he had given out, the Germany were against these particular theories. So later on, Albert Einstein wrote a letter to the president of the United States of America and told the president that the Germany are trying to make an atomic bomb. So that's when now the president Roosevelt now decided to make a project, which is the Manhattan Project, which was headed by Oppenheimer, the great scientist which invented the atomic bomb. And this now helped them to make the atomic bomb, which later on in the years, you know what, the massacres which it did, and it stopped the World War II from going into further, and also which caused a lot of tragic death. And the one thing about Albert Einstein, he wasn't very fond, and also he didn't support that particular way of people dying through wars. He was just a peaceful man. So when he was in the United States, he had some lecturers, he was given some types of position. But at that time also, Albert Einstein, one thing about him, he was being investigated by the FBI because at that time, Albert Einstein was being held into a group of activists. He was an activist, and also he was in a movement which was a peace movement, which was against the government of United States. So the United States didn't want to give Albert Einstein the direct power and also trust and also responsibility in his own government, because he was moving with people which were the anti-government of the United States, although he didn't have any problem. So later on in the years, when the Zionist movement was brought about, where Israel was able to be made its own country, the people, after Israel being made to be its own country, the Zionist members were able to ask Albert Einstein to become the president of Israel because he was a Jew, but he declined this offer because he didn't know how to interact with people. He knew that his interactions was just by the scientists and also theories, but being able to interact by people and giving orders wasn't his thing. He was smart enough to know his limits, and he was able to decline this offer. So later on in the years, he was able to succumb to his death. When his death came about, when a particular vein on his hand, on his body, was able to burst, and the doctors wanted to sew that particular vein, but Albert Einstein refused because this was the second time which it happened. So Albert Einstein refused and said that I don't want to prolong my life, let it end where it is. And the next day he succumbed to his death, and his body was burnt into ashes. And after burning into ashes, it was thrown in a particular river, which it was in a undisclosed location. So Albert Einstein, after he succumbed to his death, and also his body was burnt into ashes, and also his ashes were able to be thrown in a particular river. Albert Einstein, the doctor which was responsible for the burning of his body, had kept his brain, and also now his brain is being studied to see why he was so bright and also what led him to be a genius which we see him today. And this piece of brain was cut into small pieces. Now it is in a particular place where people are able to view Albert Einstein's brain. And this is the story of Albert Einstein. And that's how he is a great scientist, and that's how he was able to innovate and also invent and also come up with many theories which define the whole world and also explain the world. So I hope you like this video, and I hope you come back again. And one thing, please give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and also subscribe to my channel. And I say thank you so much till we meet next time.